a stunning performance from Daniela Galich and her table-topping Melbourne City side. Cath Smith has Western United firing, but what's gone wrong for Melbourne Victory and their host of Matildas? And on a weekend of goals galore, we'll debate whether this is the strike of the season so far. Hello and welcome to Dub Zone. I'm Niav Owens. Awesome to have your company and to be back for the new year. I hope you've enjoyed what has been an epic weekend of Liberty A-League action. 19 goals, Pellizzeri. Plenty of action for you this weekend.
And could have been a lot more. I'm looking forward to talking about the ones we did get.
Even a few from your Brisbane Roar, Alicia Ferguson. You have been absolutely rooting for them all season long and they got you a win today.
I know, and you've been rooting for them today. I think that's why they got the win.
That's it. Wore orange for a reason. Catherine Cannuli, good to see you.
Always lovely to be here, Nevo.
Knowles, we're going to start with City's clash with Adelaide because Melbourne City, we know they're on top of the table, we know they got goal scorers galore, but this was an epic performance from them. 4 goals in the first half, and Daniela Galich, the second youngest hat-trick scorer in Liberty A-League history. It was her who really broke this game open.
She was fantastic for this game. I think she's just showing what type of talent she has, and I think to give this such a young footballer the confidence and the way she took all these goals, especially this one, the way she takes a touch inside and the way she places this in the back of the net is absolute quality. When
the team sheet came in, Amina Rekic had picked up a knock, and so hat-trick one week, on the bench as a precaution the next. And with Holly McNamara out, Hannah Wilkinson's there, you're wondering who's going to step up for Melbourne City. Adelaide didn't have Chelsea Dorber or Dylan Holmes, and they interestingly put 2 of their imports, Mariah Lee and Hannah Blake, on the bench, and it became obvious in the first 5 minutes that they were going safety first, try to put the handbrake on, try to stifle Melbourne City. And the answer was Daniela Galich, a hat-trick and an assist, 4 goals in 15 minutes, broke the game open, no return for Adelaide, and it really was a display of the quality of this young player who doesn't even turn 18 until the middle of the year.
Yeah, I think what I love about her is her composure, like just opening up her body on that angle on that left-hand side. A couple of the goals into the far post. I've seen her score a couple more like that. And, you know, she just looks like the real deal, doesn't she, Nils? You're familiar with her.
She's a great talent. I've been watching her for a very long time, since she was younger than what she is now. But even her assist, like that cross, the way she puts that ball in behind those defenders is absolute world class. That's not something that you can actually teach players. You either have it or you don't. It's
left and right foot. Finished 2 goals with her right foot. That left-footed ball in behind and that 6-yard box, so dangerous. She is absolute quality.
You mentioned it, Teo, a moment ago, because it felt like Knowles Adelaide chose to sit back and let City come at them in this game, and it backfired in a really big way.
Absolutely, and it's okay to sit back, but when you sit back and you're in that block, you have to be super, super disciplined, especially coming up against a quality side like City. And I think there was a point where Melbourne City are actually getting into their half, and there's a point where you have to actually start to press the ball because the quality that Melbourne City have, they're going to punish you, and it was hard for them to even come back from that.
But they were trying to step out of the line, but when you're not organising, you're leaving gaps in behind, exactly what Hannah Wilkinson exploited then, you need to do it as a unit rather than just going in 1s and 2s, because a team like City will just pick you off, just play around you.
They've scored 5 2 weeks in a row, and they've been threatening to do this for most of the season. They had been undershooting their XG, not taking the chances. Now that the tap's on and flowing, what do opposition teams do? I don't think anyone's going to take the Adelaide blueprint as an example of how to try to stop them, but is there a way to stop them?
I think you just got to be really, composed in what you're going to do. And if you're going to set up in the block, you have to be disciplined. Like Ishi's saying, if you're going to do it, you have to do it as a collective and make sure that you've trained for that. Me personally, a team like Melbourne City, you want to go and press them higher up the pitch because you don't want to allow them time and space on the ball because they do have quality, and we know that anybody can score from anywhere in this team as well.
So City scored 5 this weekend. Another Melbourne side, East Western, scored 4. They have this incredible knack, don't they, for taking their opportunities when they arise. I think they had 3 shots on target in the first half. They scored from 2 of them. Cath Smith seems to really be leaning well into the strengths that she has within this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think after the game against Canberra, she was saying about applying a game plan and adapting to things a lot quicker, and they definitely did this. The first half, Melbourne Victory started really well, but Hieda on this left-hand side had so much space. She got in behind Jess Nash a couple of times. I think Jamila Rankin will be disappointed that Taranto was able to get on the inside of her for this second goal. Victory were a little bit disjointed, but credit to Western United. They really took their chances, and every time they won possession back, they looked dangerous going forward.
It's a case of a Victory team full of Matildas against Western United with just the one Chloe Lagazzo. Catherine, Western United have won 5 of their 6 games against the Melbourne teams. The other was a draw where they had that goal disallowed for offside in the last minute. What is it about the new kids on the block that sees them raise their game whenever they take on their fellow city rivals?
I think everybody just wants to win a derby, and obviously being the new team in Melbourne, they want to, stamp their ground on the league as well. But I also think a massive part of this is that a lot of these players in the Western United team have either been rejected by Victory or City, or they've been through it, haven't been good enough to keep a contract there, and they're saying, listen, we're here, we want to show you guys that we want to beat you, and I think that's what it's all about.
We've mentioned Matildas a few times in this game. One we have to mention, Ish, is Chloe Lagazzo. 4 goals in 4 games now. 5 goals across the course of the season, her best ever in the Liberty A-League. And she looks to be a player that is really loving her football again.
Yeah, I mean, she's back to full fitness, so I think that's first and foremost. I think Cath Smith has employed her as a bit more of a number 10. She played further forward in that 9 role to replace Hannah Keane in this game. But she just, when you're getting in that number 10 role, and she wants to get on the ball and wants to be in play, and I think she's got a wonderful, relationship, understanding going with Taranto. I think Adriano Taranto is having a fantastic season, and that was another thing I was going to say about them. They've got multiple goal scorers now as well, and to take the pressure off just the Chloe and missing Hannah Keane or even Taranto, I think that just makes things so much easier.
You called this game, you were in co-coms yesterday, Ish, and Victory on paper, from the get-go, have looked like the team to beat this season. They've added Alex Chidiac to their roster in the last fortnight as well, and yet it's not quite clicking for them at the moment. What did you see yesterday?
I saw a really strong start from the Victory. Alex Chidiac was very busy getting 1-2s, but then there was too many balls like this, straight balls into midfield with someone under pressure, facing their own goal and losing possession. And Western United were on the front foot and could break quickly. A couple of square balls, just not taking enough care in their passes, weight of the pass, positioning of the pass, even body positioning of the players in midfield. I think there was too many players facing backwards rather than trying to get on the half turn to see what was around them, and Western United punished them for that.
So it's a great tactical observation, but I want to tap into the mental side of it too, because this Victory team, they actually remind me of City in the 2nd and 3rd years of their three-peat, where they didn't play well until it was, hang on, if we don't win next week, we're out of the top 4. And almost like every week was a cup final, win or go home, is what motivated them to finally pull it together. The season's a lot longer now, and Victory, depending on results, could have ended up outside the 6 at the end of the weekend. They may yet still. What do they do to arrest this sort of middle-of-the-road performance? Because Western Sydney Wanderers also, beat them 2-0 pretty impressively over the Christmas period.
It's an exciting part of the competition. This is the great thing about extending the league as well. But I think for Melbourne Victory in the last few games, they've been quite poor, especially defensively for me. They're very reactive on the field. You can see the way they're playing out. They're very predictable, the way they try and do the same thing over and over. I think there needs to be a core leader in that team that needs to say, hey girls, we need to really push things on in this space here now. But it's going to be really difficult for them, because you can see, especially over the last couple of games, that if they don't get something out of the first 15, 20 minutes or get up in a game, they're struggling mentally.
And I think what they were also struggling with is not having an outlet further forward. Rachel Lowe was having to, fit into that number 9 role, and you could see there just wasn't too many options for them to break out of that pressure, to break out, maybe change things up and play a long ball into a striker that could hold the ball up and bring other players into play. And it was. I think they'd be really disappointed in themselves for that result.
So Rachel Lowe pushing forward into the 9 role with Alex Chidiac coming back into the starting side, and it felt early on, Knowles, like Chids was going to blow this game apart. She hasn't had a lot of minutes in the legs, though, and it felt like she burnt out early. Was she taking one too many touches at times, taking too much upon herself?
I think she's just probably taken a lot on her shoulders in the game, knowing that the team hasn't really been in the greatest form, and they probably really needed that 3 points, to be honest. And Chids is the type of player that wants to win. She had such a fantastic season last season as well, and unfortunately, when you haven't played 90 minutes regularly, to try and go out and go hard for the first 10 or 15 minutes, you do end up dying out a little bit, and that really hurt them. But I think Chids will really, find her feet in this team, and I think she'll be the player that they really need that could actually turn their season around.
She was Julie Dolan medalist last season, having only played the first half of the season. Would not be at all surprised to see her do something similar with an extremely awesome second half of the season now. When we look at goals this weekend, Taya, we've got to talk Newcastle, Canberra next, don't we? This one finished 3-3, a game that for the neutrals was incredible. Was it a case of an incredible offensive effort or just like a total disdain for defence?
No, the quality of attacking in this game was sensational. Serena Bolden set the tone and got everything started, and then the response from Canberra was admirable. Michelle Heyman selfless to set up Nikki Flannery, and then the later goal, Devon Jackson, who's been a nearly player, has got into goal-scoring positions. This will do the world of confidence and good for her because, you know, she's a Kiwi in the prime years of her career. She's no longer a youngster, so to speak. Vital for her to get that breakthrough goal, get the monkey off the back and start to feel as though she belongs at this A-League level. This Lara Gooch goal here, though, I'm going to go early. I think this was actually the best goal in the game. I'm going to leave the Sarah Clark one to the other two here because Lara Gooch, when she is able to play at her best, she scores sensational goals. And, you know, another great takeaway, Serena Bolden may have scored. She celebrates this assist for Mindy Barbieri, her first Newcastle goal, arguably more than the goal. It shows the level of spirit within this Jets team. They will be devastated they didn't win, though.
I think what was really positive about both teams is that they were, again, trying to get the ball face forward really quickly and make something happen. Serena Bolden in that one. Come on, Teo. How is this not the goal, the contender of the season? Look, I'm not sorry, Gooch. Like, I know you've had a great goal, but she's 25 yards out.
No one's closing it down. It's Steph Curry open from three, whereas Lara Gooch actually had to weave through a few players.
I know about
I think on the last episode,
that's harsh on Clark, by the way. That's
last episode of the season, we're taking this show out to the field and we're all going to have a touch and hit and we're going to see how hard that actually is. But what an absolute builder of a strike. To be able to do that, you could see before she even receives that ball, she gets her head up, she gets her head down, and the way she's hit that, you know, once it hits that your forward,
sat
you
up
just
nicely,
know.
didn't it, Knowles?
Oh, absolutely.
It was perfect. It was
You
good.
mentioned Serena Bolden a moment ago as well, Teo. It feels, Ish, like she has been such a crucial part of this Newcastle resurgence. She's not the biggest player physically, but she brings a real physicality to what she does and has become a critical part of the Jets lineup.
Yeah, that's what you want to see from your strikers. You want to see them being positive to really... I mean, she was fantastic actually setting up that goal. This run here just didn't give up, just went, right, I'm going to face you up. Wanted to face forward, right, there's some space there, I'm going to go past. I love that positive play. I love it and her confidence in that, and she's been a great addition to Newcastle.
Michelle Heyman, we keeping an eye on this century that she is bearing down upon. She didn't bring it up yesterday, Knowles, but assists galore in this game, and she's been contributing on that front so much this season for Canberra.
She's been fantastic for Canberra this season. I think she'll be playing, you know, a bit of a different role on and off the pitch for Canberra United as well. There's a lot of young players in this team. There was a couple of chances in this game where she could have got her 100, you know, especially in that first assist that she had for Nikki Flannery as well. I thought, me personally, I'm on 99. I ain't passing to Nikki Flannery in that spot. But
you're on 3 and you're not passing. If you've got 3 goals, you're not passing to anyone in that spot, no.
100%. But no, look, she's been fantastic, and I think again, you know, to have someone like Michelle Heyman in this competition and still doing well, I think is fantastic.
They take on Adelaide in Unite round next weekend. If their round one contest, Teo, is anything to go by, there's going to be goals galore in this game. You're backing Michelle in to bring up her century in Unite round, aren't you?
Yeah, 4-4 when they met in round one, and given the defence of both teams, but also their love of playing attacking football and just trying to outgun the others, I mean, it's one of many great games in Unite round. We've got the grand final rematch in there with Western United and Sydney FC, and their form line heading into this one is as tantalising as any game on the card.
And a couple of double headers at Leichhardt Oval as well. If there is a better place to watch football of any code, I'm not sure what it is. Leichhardt Oval, the place to be next weekend. What are you looking forward to from a Unite round perspective, Knowles? Because your son Alicia, he might not want to watch the full 90 minutes, but he'll sure as hell want to play it.
Whenever I take him to a football match, he always wants to go on the jumping castle or kick the ball at every single match. So, but I think the greatest thing about Unite round is to be able to take the family out to the football and to enjoy the game, you know, together. That's what I remember as a kid growing up, going out to Marconi Stadium with the family, and, you know, that's where my love for football started. And I hope that a lot of families do take their kids out because they're at great times in great stadiums like Leichhardt Oval, which is such a family-friendly place.
I was out there for the Sydney FC Canberra United catch-up game on Wednesday. The atmosphere is so just welcoming and fun, and it's just an easy ground to get around. There are lots of good vantage points, and the quality of the surface, they've got it absolutely perfect for Unite round. So I think those Friday games, Victory Perth and Wellington Mariners, what a perfect way to kick off the weekend. Two very important games as far as the top six too. So not just the games in isolation, but the context of the season, Unite round has come at a perfect time.
You mentioned Wellington there. They lost the Savo to Brisbane. You were pushing Ish for us to lead the show with this game because it does break a losing streak for Brisbane Roar. It's the first win under Alex Smith's reign. They had to work hard and show real resilience in this one to work their way back into this contest.
Yeah, and I think they did really well. They definitely were far more positive, changed their formation a little bit more to a 3-5-2 with those wing-backs trying to push forward. Alex really wants more positivity, more attacking play for this Brisbane Roar team, and they did really well to get the win. You know, sometimes you just need to get that first win, don't you? Just need to get that first win. You need a bit of luck. They definitely had a little bit of luck in this game, later in the game, but well done, Brisbane.
Do you know what I loved after this goal from Meeks, and it's her first goal in her return to the Liberty A-League? She brought the whole team into a little bit of a huddle and she had stern words. This was at 1-1. It was how they started the second half, and they really built on it from there.
Absolutely. Look, you know that the Brisbane Roar team, they're not used to being in this position, really. They've always had such success, especially earlier on in the W League. But to see them get their first win in a long time, I think the confidence will build from that. I think Alex will build from this as well. I think when you come into a team and you're so new, you're trying to instill your style of play. And you know, credit to the girls, they really fought hard in the end. You could see the game management as well in that last 10, 15 minutes to be able to hold on to that 3 points.
And it's a different approach to what they'd been used to under Gareth. So I think, you know, they've gone from being very conservative and being not playing with risks, and Alex wants them to go forward and play with more risks. And sometimes that's a tough thing to change mentally, especially when you're doing that and you're not getting the results. So I think they'd be really pleased to get the 3 points.
They dominated the second half, Brisbane, and hit the crossbar twice, but the Phoenix can walk away from this feeling a little hard done by. I think back to Harry Kewell getting sent off at the 2010 World Cup for a handball on the goal line. I wish this referee was there in Rustenburg because, Knowles, Ish...
Dead set pen.
Just talk us through the Leah Scarpelli's action here.
Look, it's her arm's away from her body. It's right on the line. The ball was going in. It should have been a penalty.
That's definitely a penalty. Yeah, definitely will be going home. It's a long way home back to Wellington, that's for sure. And it's unfortunate, though, these referees, sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. So it's part of football, and as we say, that's football.
But it is a long way home, and aren't they struggling away from home at the moment, the Phoenix? I mean, it's losses to Mariners, they lost to Adelaide, Adelaide's first win of the season, and also they break the Roar's 8-game winless run. So it doesn't matter who the opponent is or what the state of their season is, Wellington away just can't seem to crack it on the road. I mean, can you see them resolving this?
Potentially, but then you also have to think that all the other teams are now looking at their style of play and how to nullify that. So, you know, we're halfway through the season and teams, you know, doing their analysis and going, OK, this is where they look dangerous. This is where we need to contain them. So they're going to have to step it up again.
Isabel Cox's goal, we should mention that, Teo, in this one, because Nix had the lead and she showed how crucial she could be if the Nix really are going to make a run for the title this season. It
reminds me a lot of Hannah Keane, certainly in terms of her height and strength and the way she's able to move. I mean, she's quick for a tall physical player. So I'm really enticed by what we might see. We know she's got great pedigree because she's come from UNC, the sort of the blue blood college school of women's soccer in America. But I mean, Wellington perhaps should have had more than one in the first half to show for their efforts before the Roar overran them in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, I think they'll come away from that quite disappointed. Let the game slip away in that second half. I think Roar did really well, and, you know, then a little bit of luck went against them. But, I mean, it was a really entertaining game. That's
happened to them in a lot of their losses where they really could have won, but they haven't taken their chances. So I think, you know, the travel side of things is something that they're going to have to get under their belt as well, to have that understanding of, you know, when are they coming in, what's the recovery time and all that. But they also had many chances in this game to actually take the game as well.
It shows their evolution, that we've gone from, you know, respecting the fact that they're giving it their best to expecting them to win away games, because they've set a pretty high standard for themselves in this first half of the season, that we can now say it is a disappointment that they've lost these games, you know, particularly the Adelaide one, where they should have been 3 or 4-0 at half-time and out of sight, and then, again, like today, got overrun in the second half.
For sure, you know, you look at Wellington Phoenix and the way they started this season, they came out firing. No one thought or expected that they would do what they did do, and their style of football has been fantastic. But like Isha said, people now are watching games. They're looking at how they can break down teams when they are trying to play a certain way. And once you become predictable, people can actually shut you down. So you have to show that you can actually start to change the way you're playing.
Well, we've celebrated the goals, 19 of them through 5 games. Now we're going to do the 0-0 draw that happened this afternoon just before we went on air. Central Coast Mariners up against Sydney FC. Knowles, the Mariners have this incredible ability this season to grind out a result of some kind. Today, a draw.
We have to give credit to the Mariners. They've actually gotten so many draws out of games just from pure just trying to work hard and, like you said, grind out games. And a credit to Emily Husband. She's got them really in a great structure. Everybody knows their roles and responsibilities. They had a couple of chances as well to put a couple of goals away. It was unfortunate. If I'm Sydney FC and Ante, I'd be disappointed to not get 3 points out of this game.
If you were Sydney FC and Ante, you'd also be disappointed with the mounting injury toll. That has to have an impact goals-wise, Ish. They're down Shay Connors, Fiona Wirtz, Courtney Vine, Lucy Johnson and Nat Tobin as well. I don't remember a time in Sydney FC's recent history where they have been so hit by injuries in this way.
Yeah, there's a lot, and some really key players and attacking players. And from the nature of their injuries as well, they're all pretty unlucky and pretty serious injuries, which is just sometimes you just got to put it down to being unlucky. But yeah, it's taken a huge toll on the team.
And they're running out of adults. I mean, the players you mentioned there are all in their mid to late 20s, senior players, leaders. And the fact that they recruited Johnson, Wirtz and Connors was perhaps an acknowledgement that their team was getting a lot younger and a lot less experienced. Now the pressure goes on to Princess Sabini as the new captain, Kirsty Fenton as the young defender, and crucially, Mackenzie Hawkesby coming back mid-season, because even though she's only 23, she basically steps into a leadership role out of necessity in this team, in addition to the amount of football work that she has to get through.
I think that's been an absolute blessing to be able to get Mackenzie Hawkesby back in this team for Ante. Has been probably a little bit of saving grace, to be honest, because she has been around the league for such a long time and she has great leadership skills as well, and she's been fantastic since returning as well.
We've got one game to go a little bit later on tonight. You can see that on 10 Bowl, 10 Play and Paramount Plus, of course. But we are at the halfway point of the season, Knowles. So we're going to do a little mid-season awards night. That's why we're all blazered up this evening. We know what the protocol is. I want to know your Julie Dolan medalist at this point in the season, Knowles. You've tipped Vesna Milivojevic 8 goals and brings this incredible creativity to everything she does.
I just love how she's just so unpredictable when she gets on the ball, the ability to be able to score goals, to be able to set up goals. I think, you know, you can see that she's just a real winner. She wants to win games, and it's unfortunate that Canberra is sitting where they are sitting at the moment, but her specifically, the way she runs at plays, the way she takes on players 1v1, and you can see every time Canberra build up from the back or whenever they are going forward, they're looking to find Vesna's feet or trying to play through her at times, and I think she's a fantastic talent.
She's been a real standout for Canberra. You're targeting the Knicks with your Julie Dolan medalist at the halfway point, Ish.
Yeah, Mariana Speck-Myers really impressed me. I think similar to what Knowles was saying, just that positivity, you know, always wanting to get the ball face forward, take players on. She's always on the shoulder of the opposition as well, looking for those balls in behind. She's a really adaptable player and has so many great attacking skills, and I think she's been wonderful for the Knicks this season. She's
also a real baller, isn't she? She is involved in every single thing that happens out on the pitch.
Yeah, loves a niggle too, which is one of my favourite things about her, obviously. Like, not afraid to get a tough challenge in, but yeah, I've been really impressed with her.
So the issue with the Dolan is it doesn't matter if you have the game of your life or if it's a 0-0 like this afternoon, someone gets 3 votes. So I'm going a little bit outside the square. I think in terms of contribution to good team results, wins, draws, I think Ergamal from the Mariners is my pick here, because when the Mariners do well, it is generally off the back of Ergamal doing well. We've seen her quality. The only caveat is a Dolan medalist has come from the 6th placed team once, that was Sam Kerr. From the 5th placed team once, that was Emily Van Egmond. Every other Dolan medalist has come from a team that was in the top 4. So you generally do have to be on a team that wins. Mariners are 9th. I'm still liking Ergamal as my smoky pick.
Have we missed out on Daniela Galic here? Yeah. So she is someone who's going to come steaming home for the end of the season.
And you've all gone imports, which with the Julie Dolan medalist we don't often see. Surely Chloe Lagazzo, after the months she's had and playing positionally in in a much better position for her under Cath Smith. Surely Chloe Logarzo gets a mention.
100% Chloe has to get a mention. I think, you know, especially the last few weeks, she's been in fine form, and if she continues that, she's someone that, you know, can score goals, can assist, and is involved in a lot of the play, and she's such an exciting player to watch as well. So watch this space.
We were just going to talk about the footballers, but you being here, Nils, you were like, what about the coaches? We better give the coaches a mention as well. You've been so impressed with Paul Temple this season. He told us before the season kicked off that he was going to play small ball, that there was going to be quick ball, that they were going to want possession, the Knicks, and they were going to do really positive things with it. And they've shown exactly that so far.
Absolutely. It's not just his style on the pitch, on the sidelines. I think he absolutely nails it when he turns up to games. But I think everything that he said in those press conferences, he's actually come out and he's delivered. I've loved his recruitment. I love the way he's actually set up the team. It's going to be a big challenge for him now coming into the second half of the season.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Nils. I think he's been really impressive. And again, it's like whether you fit a system to the players or the players to the system. And I think he's got that nice balance of that. Probably a bit frustrated with some recent results, but as far as what they've brought to this season, I think he's been excellent.
A half season's a long time, and think about the level of pessimism around the Wanderers heading into round one. The reason I think Robbie Hooker is coach of the season to this point is because he took a team for which the expectations were low externally, particularly among Wanderers' own fan base. That's probably been the primary group he's had to win over first, never mind the results he's got. The team obviously has 2 games in hand because they've still got that Canberra game they've got to catch up. So the ladder lies to us a little bit about the Wanderers for now. He is playing to his team's strength. So impressed with Robbie Hooker and what he's done with Western Sydney.
And not only that, sorry, Hooks is actually growing hair in this role. Most coaches lose hair. That's the most hair I've seen on Hooks in years.
We'll check back in at the end of the season. It is only the halfway point. Now, no mention of Alex Epakis. A sensational start to the season for Perth, Teo. They still sit second on the table just behind City. Play later on tonight to decrease that gap.
Look, it's a great shout. And, I mean, look at where Perth were when Epakis took over. They had a winless season. They scored, I think, 7 goals in a 12-game season, and now they are contending for the title. I'm sure Dario Vidic is also saying, hey, I'm 6 points clear on top of the league. What about me? But relative to expectation, I think that's why we're choosing Temple, we're choosing Hooker. We're acknowledging the role a coach can have in lifting a team above what we all expected.
We've thrown the coaches a bone, Nils, and that's where we're going to say goodbye to you for this evening. Thank you for your company.
Thank you, team.
You've got the sack.
Catherine Cannuli's out. That's the end of the coaches for tonight. And we're going to have a look at the Liberty A-League ladder and where it stands after this round with 1 game, of course, yet to play. It's Melbourne City sitting pretty, 6 points clear, but Teo Perth play tonight. They're at home and they will look to get 3 points in that clash with the Wanderers.
It's such an important game for the Wanderers because Wanderers have this game and the Canberra game in hand. Sydney have a game in hand as well, but if they keep drawing, I mean, they've drawn with Canberra and Mariners, and like we flagged, those were the catch-up games they had. Don't assume it's points in the bank. So vital for Perth tonight. Gee, the ladder is in such an interesting state going into Unite round. There are 6-pointers pretty much all up and down the fixture.
Including right at the other end of the table, where Adelaide take on Canberra next week, and that could have big ramifications for later in the season as well. As we say hello to Nali Masto. Hey.
Hey, Niamh, how are you?
Very well. Good to see you with what's making headlines internationally. Let's look at the WSL to begin with, because we talked here on the desk a few weeks ago about where Katrina Gorry and Charlie Grant might end up. We found out this week, and that Hammers launch of Minnie and Harper, they nailed it. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
She sent the social media into an absolute spiral. Harper is the cutest kid, and of course her mum doing her proud because Katrina Gorry has signed a deal with West Ham on a free transfer, and that means she joins her Matilda's teammate Mackenzie Arnold, and of course we've seen them play together at Brisbane Roar. But Gorry mentioned how Arnold's progression over the last couple of years actually shows what the club can do for players in terms of development and growth. But if West Ham need anything, it's experience at this moment, because they are second last on the WSL table, only 1 win on the tally as well. So they're going to need a resurgence pretty soon.
Charlie Grant to Tottenham Hotspurs. I loved this signing from a Spurs perspective, and it feels like such an awesome move for Charlie.
Such a big one, and we were hearing rumours about this for a few weeks now, and it is official because the Matilda star has signed a 2.5-year deal with Tottenham Hotspur, and she could potentially be making her WSL debut against Gorry and Arnold when the two sides meet later in the month. And in the interview she did with the club, she mentioned how their coach Robert Villaharm had played a major reason as to why she wanted to join, because he had actually coached against her over in Sweden and was just super impressed by the pressing style of play that he implemented. And Charlie was also good enough to send us a special message as well.
Hey Dubzone, really excited to sign with Spurs and to play against so many of the other Tillies in the Women's Super League. And it all started in the Dub. Shout out to all the Adelaide United girls, all the best for the rest of the season.
Love that. She's giving a shout out, of course, to her hometown, Adelaide United, where she debuted. But Aisha, how do you expect both Gorry and Grant to adjust to their life in the WSL now?
Really well. I think Minnie is, a hugely experienced player, and she's got, other great players around her and other Aussies in Mackenzie Arnold, Chrissy Mewis, US international, signed there as well. I think for Charlie Grant, I'm really pleased for her getting into the WSL. She had a tough time at Rosengård in Sweden, wasn't getting a lot of game time. That was actually leading up towards the World Cup, where she had to make a decision whether she stayed at Rosengård or moved somewhere else. She went to Viteo, which is where Claire Polkinghorn and Katrina Gorry were. Got plenty of game time there, which has led to this move. And, I love Charlie. She's just such a wonderful human and such a huge, huge potential. And I hope she does really well at Spurs. Even though I'm an Arsenal fan, I hope Charlie does well at Spurs.
While we're on the Matildas front, Tony Gustafsson continues to make headlines, Narlene. This time about a potential move home. What's the latest?
Yeah, so during the week, a report came out from Sweden stating that Olaf Mellberg is set to be appointed as the head coach of the men's Swedish team. But they still remain interested in appointing Tony Gustafsson as the assistant coach. However, the report claims that the FA have blocked the move from happening ahead of two pretty important Olympic qualifiers for the Matildas, and they expect him to see out his contract until the Paris Olympic Games are up. Aish, if you're Tony G, do you take that move to Sweden? Do you push for it? Or do you stay with the Tillies and try to see if you can guide them to more success?
Look, I can't speak on behalf of TG, but I think he does have a contract to finish. It's not too long until the Olympics, and there's an opportunity. After such a wonderful World Cup, there's an opportunity for us to actually medal. We came fourth at the Tokyo Olympics. We're in really good form now. I always question as well, if a coach is going to leave, who are we going to replace them with? And we've had a lot of... we've had stuff with Stadge when he left, which, threw things into disarray, and then Ante left after that. So having that consistency from a World Cup with a reasonably short turnaround of 6 months into an Olympics, I think is what should be happening, and I think TG should see out his contract.
Two important qualifiers coming up in Feb, up against Uzbekistan. You can see them on Paramount Plus and 10 Play and 10 Bold, of course, as well. As we head to Teo's tip, what's going to happen in your night round, Teo?
Well, normally I try to go off the beaten path and do something a little unpredictable and a little out there.
Is that your excuse for being wrong each week so far this season?
Most weeks.
Okay.
This week, I'm going for the lowest hanging fruit. Michelle Heyman will score her 100th A-League women's goal in Unite Round. It will be the signature moment of Unite Round, and it will help galvanise the concept into the future. It's going to be a shootout between Adelaide United and Canberra. I don't know who's going to win. All I know is there'll be a lot of goals, and Michelle Heyman will definitely score one of them.
I love it. Bringing up her century in Unite Round. Would love to see it. Teo, Ish, Narlene, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your company at home tonight as well. I'll be away for the next few weeks for the Asian Cup, but you'll be in very safe hands here on Dubzone. Pekua Frimpong will be in the chair next week. Enjoy Unite Round. It is going to be absolutely epic. And of course, if you miss Dubzone on a Sunday evening, you can catch us on the Liberty A-League podcast, wherever you get your podcasts each week. See you soon.